Welcome back to Good Day Columbia, 8:17 this morning. After Chick-fil-A's president Dan Cathy talked about his position against gay marriage, there has been plenty of dialogue on both sides of the aisle. Now today is Chick-fil-A Appreciation Day, created not by Chick-fil-A but by Mike Huckabee to encourage those who believe in marriage between a man and a woman to support the business. But not everyone is happy about this move. Now joining me now is Christine Johnson, Executive Director of South Carolina Equality. Ms. Johnson, thank you for being here this morning.
Oh, my pleasure.
My
pleasure. Thank you.
The first thing, Dan Cathy, in his interview with the Baptist, Biblical Recorder, exactly, Baptist Press, said, "We are much supportive of the family, the biblical definition of the family unit." And he goes on to say, but thank the Lord, we live in a country where we can share our values and operate on biblical principles. That's what he said. And we know the First Amendment guarantees him his chance to voice his opinion. So talk about how this statement has affected the gay and lesbian community.
Well, I think it's not just affected the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community, but also everyone who's concerned with social justice and wants to see all Americans treated justly, fairly, and equally as provided within our Constitution. So I think the primary concern is that Mr. Cathy is not just expressing a personal opinion and exercising his First Amendment right, but he's he's allowing his corporation and the Windshape Foundation, which is the charitable arm of the Chick-fil-A Corporation, to invest millions of dollars in organizations that misrepresent the gay community, that tell lies about the gay community, and that really are pretty hateful toward the gay community, and I think that's where we find a little bit of heartburn over it, more than a little, actually.
Understandable. Now here's another statement. This one coming from Steve Robertson, the Executive Vice President of Marketing. It says that the Chick-fil-A culture and service tradition in our restaurants is to treat every person with honor, dignity, and respect, regardless of their belief, creed, sexual orientation, or gender. And he talks about going forward, their intent is to leave the policy debate over same-sex marriage to the government and the political arena. Do you believe that this statement is fair or true?
I believe that it's a reaction to the response that that Chick-fil-A has received from the LGBT community and social justice allies, and appropriately so. It's one thing to have an opinion. It's another thing to invest in the discrimination and discriminatory policies of the lesbian and gay community, against the lesbian and gay community. In fact, one of the organizations that the Windshape Foundation has given money to actually supported the Ugandan legislation that would tolerate and permit the killing of homosexuals. So we're not talking about just, we're not favorable toward homosexuals and compassionate toward them. We're funding organizations that are hateful toward them, and that's unethical.
Okay. One of the other things too, Mr. Cathy hasn't gone on record saying that they're going to stop serving gays or lesbians, or they will, fire or won't hire anyone else. And also that statement that he talked about, dignity and respect for persons of sexual orientation and gender. Do you believe this is a step in the right direction, or that this is their standpoint of saying that we're not discriminatory towards a homosexual lifestyle? Or
well, he's already exhibited that this is his corporate policy, not just his personal policy, but a corporate policy to be funding organizations that do not support equal and fair treatment of gays and lesbians. And so in as much as they may want to accept the consumer dollars of people who identify as gay and lesbian, when it comes to employment, that is very much a state-based issue. And in South Carolina, you can hire or fire someone based on their sexual orientation. You can deny them a promotion. And so I think Chick-fil-A, in as much as they want to say they operate by biblical principles, needs to not dissect the Bible and decide which of those biblical principles they're going to adhere to. So we would personally like to see that Chick-fil-A does stay out of the politics and does stay out of supporting, disproportionately funding some of these organizations that are just downright hateful and lie about the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community.
Now, the South Carolina Equality has stepped in, and you all have a few responses, including pictures to Chick-fil-A. One actually says a chicken with a side of bigotry right here.
Right.
And then there's another picture that says hate more people. How did you all get the idea to kind of show this, and have you all presented this to Chick-fil-A?
Well, actually, many of our donors have made a donation to South Carolina Equality to have a different postcard for which you don't have an image that basically just says discrimination is bad for business. And so we are mailing those to Chick-fil-A. A lot of our community just wanted something they could put on their Facebook, something that they could display, an image that would say, hey, this is not cool with me.
Gotcha. And for the last thing, talk to us about, we know your stance on everything. Do you believe that some of the wordings or some of the things that Mr. Cathy said, do you believe it's equivalent to a hate speech or just a personal opinion? Because we know some folks have said this is anti-hating gay people. Do you believe that's behind that? Or?
Well, I think that if Mr. Cathy actually adheres to biblical principles, that he'll understand that hatred in the name of God is still hatred. But I don't know that it's for me to judge the language he's using. I think he's expressing opinion, and I think that that there's a lot of education that could take place to help him understand the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community more, and understand our Constitution and the fact that we are guaranteed by the Constitution equal protections, and we don't receive them. Gay and lesbian people are taxed just the same as heterosexual people, and yet we are repeatedly denied rights and recognition, entitlement, and privileges that our heterosexual friends and neighbors have. And so, I think that the pushback against Chick-fil-A on this issue and Mr. Cathy's position, corporate position, is pretty indicative of the fact that nationwide we're just tired of denying gays, lesbians, bisexuals, and transgender people equal protections. We have bigger things that we need to move on. Let's go tackle those issues, and let's put everyone on an equal playing field.
Christine Johnson, thank you so much.
My
and
pleasure.
all these different questions coming forth, and we also we know that Mr. Cathy just wanted to stress that he did not say that he hated gay people. I just want to make sure everyone understood the phrasing of that question. It was just posed that with this, many people thought it could be interpreted that way. So, Ms. Johnson, thank you so much for being here this morning. We appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.